You are live. Thank you. Good evening and welcome. Today is Monday, October 28th, 2024, and this is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Bangor City Council. We begin our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance. Would ask outgoing Councilor Gretchen Schaefer. She will lead us in the pledge. Please stand if you're able.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This is the portion of the meeting set aside for public comment for concerns related to city business. Public comment, whether in person or via Zoom, requires a person to state their name and whether you are a resident of Bangor. Obscene, threatening, or overly repetitive remarks will be interrupted and removed, as will disruption and disorderly behavior that interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. The council chair has discretion over the time allowed for public comment. Tonight we will have up to 60 minutes for public comment. Each person will be limited to 3 minutes. Personnel complaints pertaining to alleged misconduct of individual employees are handled through a different confidential process and will not be entertained by the council in public. Per Maine law, complaints of misconduct are generally entitled to confidentiality and handled in executive session. The public comment period is for city council members to listen. It's the city council's practice not to respond or debate with persons during the public comment period, although we may ask questions. If a comment requires additional action, it will either be taken up by a city council committee or followed up on by the appropriate city staff member. If you do not live or own property in Bangor, please allow those who do live or own property in Bangor to have the opportunity to speak first. If you'd like to offer a comment on any item related to city business not appearing on the regular agenda, you may approach the podium. On Zoom, the public can be recognized to speak using the hand raise function or on the phone by pressing *9.
Council Chair, we haven't done a roll call.
My name is Stan McMillan.
I'm sorry, Mr. McMillan, I need to interrupt you.
Oh, sorry.
I've forgotten, we have a counselor on Zoom tonight, and so we do need to do a roll call vote for each item on the agenda, including one to establish who's present in the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Dean?
Yes.
Councilor Fish?
Here.
Councilor Fournier?
Here.
Councilor Hawes?
Here.
Councilor Leonard?
Present.
Councilor Schaefer?
Here.
Councilor Trumbull?
Here.
Councilor Yakabaga?
Here.
Councilor Pelletier?
Here,
All present. Thank you.
thank you. I'm sorry for interrupting you. Go ahead.
My name is Stan McMillan. I'm a general contractor. I've worked for the city of Bangor for the past 55 years, starting in the late 1960s. I want to comment on one of your employees and praise him. John Terrio was a city engineer for 11 years. And I just want to comment on how great a city engineer he was. I've worked with a lot of city engineers over the years. He was very smart, a gentleman at all times, listened to alternative plans, excellent employee working relationships, always available, hardworking, and in general, he did a very good job for the city of Bangor, and his resignation will be a great loss for the city. Hopefully I bragged him up as much as I can, and he was a true gentleman to his employees, to the people he worked with, and it was, I think, a great loss for the city.
Thank you.
Look at my van on.
Okay, don't start the timer. We have to save one for the chief. I know he's not here yet. I haven't seen him.
Good evening, my name is Scott Party, and I am a resident of Bangor, and I'm here once again to talk trash with you folks. We were supposed to get a tour of the Hamden facility on October 3rd. I was told that this was canceled by the city. I would like to know if the tour has ever been rescheduled. This facility operations were started and suspended in 2019. This facility was placed in receivership in 2020. This facility was purchased by a MRC-formed LLC called Municipal Waste Solutions in 2022. 90% was sold to Innovative Resource Recovery LLC in 2023. The last time I spoke on this subject, I noted what I gleaned out of an email to me from the MRC. This stated, and I quote, "Key project updates include equipment procurement. MWS has secured deposits on critical equipment for the MRF," all these acronyms, "including machines to open bags at the start of the recovery process. MRF construction, phase 1 of the MRF construction and design changes are being implemented with a significant investment of just over $22 million. I also asked the city manager to please advise me if any funds were still being supplied. I haven't heard anything yet, and I hope I will soon. I know you weren't here, Debbie, at that meeting, and maybe it wasn't passed along. The MRC October newsletter also included this statement, and this is just this month. MRF update, phase 1 funding for the updates and design changes to the materials recovery facility, MRF, requested in September has been approved and finalized by the White Oak Board of Directors. This funding exceeds $20 million. Will initiate revisions to the MRF construction in late August and early September. Innovative placed a significant deposit on critical equipment for the MRF, including machines designed to open bags at the start of every recovery process, capitalizing on a unique opportunity. The next funding request will cover an investment needed for the anaerobic digester system, while the design and engineering for the AD system are still being finalized. A substantial amount will also be requested for this project. It's just never ending. I hope that I'm conveying to you my concerns that this plant was not operational and is still not operational. Although I am hopeful that it will become operational, it is obvious that with the plant still being in design and engineering, it may never be operational. This plant received a $45 million FAME loan in 2017. Obviously, this money is lost as the plant was purchased for almost nothing out of receivership. This should be a major concern for all of us. No one wants to think about trash and sewer. We want it to magically disappear. Please don't let this get any worse. I didn't want to call this a boondoggle. It is starting to look like one. Please don't be afraid to look at this. The taxpayers and the environment need your support. And I'll talk more later. Thank you.
That should be fine. The owl will pick it up for people who are watching online.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Coffey. I am a resident of Bangor and I live on Valley Avenue. I'm here tonight to ask that speed bumps be added to my street. Cars drive way too fast through our neighborhood, well over the speed limit. Constantly, cars turn off Kenduskeag Avenue, which has a speed limit of 45 miles per hour, onto Valley, which has a limit of 25 miles per hour, and don't even slow down a bit. I cannot cross the street even to get the mail for fear of getting hit. We have children primary school age or under in the neighborhood. Moose and deer cross frequently where we all live. A fawn was hit by a car a few houses down not too long ago. Until recently, we had 8 children on the residential section of Valley Avenue. You know, it's quite a long street. Now we have 2 fewer. A family with 2 small children moved away recently, in part because of the danger posed by the cars flying by their house. As a representative of our neighborhood tonight, and the rest of the people can't be here because they have young children they're all asleep already, or they're trying to get them to sleep. We are asking for 2 speed bumps. One speed bump to be placed at the very beginning of Valley Avenue, where it immediately branches off of Kenduskeag, and a second speed bump to be placed at the other end of the residential section of Valley Avenue. These 2 speed bumps would bracket our neighborhood, slowing traffic down and helping to keep everyone safe, whether walking, crossing the street, or chasing a ball. It is my understanding that the city also desires to slow traffic heading in and out of town. I noticed there's recently a speed bump on Kenduskeag Avenue going onto Harlow. As Valley Avenue is a major cut through to downtown, speed bumps on our street will help meet that goal. And I was just reminded that that new bridge is going to be going in, which is going to be making more people, the Kenduskeag Avenue Bridge, more people coming down our street in the future. And it's just going to be far more cars and people trying to get through. So I think it would be very valuable to our neighborhood, our children, and me, and the other older people on our street, and to the city as well. Thank you.
Can we add that to the next infrastructure discussion? Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Tim Reed, I'm a resident of Bangor and a retired Bangor policeman. I just want to speak for a minute on the possible sale of the land for the homeless up on Cleveland area there.
Oh, Mr. Reed, we will be getting to that as we work our way through the agenda, so if you'll hold your comment for now, I'll be allowing public comment on that when we get there.
That would be fine.
Thank you. Sure.
Hi everyone, my name is Jen Goddard and I live on Maple Street in Bangor, and I wanted to bring to your attention a new federal court ruling regarding fluoride. Some of you may already be aware, it's just happened September 24th. They determined that fluoride levels in our water present an unreasonable risk of reduced IQ in children. I have handouts here that summarize the case as well as the findings in a release posted by the IAOMT, which is the International Academy of Oral Medicine and Toxicology. It's a global network of dentists, health professionals, and scientists dedicated to the safe and science-based practice of biological dentistry. I believe we should consider eliminating it from our town water. So many of us purchase expensive filtration systems to eliminate the fluoride, but we have many in our community that aren't as privileged and rely on what they get from their tap for drinking water. So I just wanted to provide you the information for the ruling, and some brief concerns are attached regarding the health risks, and ask for your consideration in removing it from our town's water. Thank you for your time.
Councilor Trumbull?
We just note that we appoint the trustees of the water district, and you can find the meetings of the water district, but the water district they have the oversight on the fluoride of the water. We don't have any oversight over that. So where could they find the meeting dates for that?
Yeah, I'll find them.
Okay,
Okay,
thanks.
thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room?
My name is Justin Cartier. I'm a resident of Bangor. And to follow up with Ms. Goddard's comments, the council could decide to pass an ordinance for the city that does not permit fluoride, but that's not what I'm here to speak about tonight. Amendment 1 of the Constitution, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people to peaceably assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. By choosing who can speak on any subject, you violate that Constitution. When people come before you to speak on the redress of grievances, whether someone else has spoken on the same subject they are speaking about, by telling them and shaming them into not speaking, you are violating that First Amendment to the Constitution. To save the city and yourselves from future lawsuits, I implore you to abide by the Constitution. The Constitution that is there to limit the overreach of tyrannical leaders. A Constitution that is there to limit our government. We have a saying in recovery, if you can't help an addict, don't hurt them. Your shaming of the man from Fresh Start at a minimum deserves an apology. At a maximum, should result in your immediate resignation. That is for you to pray upon and decide. I would have preferred to have discussed tonight the city returning the needle exchange program to a 1-to-1 ratio. The children and the people of this city of Bangor deserve that harm reduction. Thank you. It's a copy of the Constitution.
Is there anyone else in the room wishing to speak? Seeing no one approach and no hands online, we will move to the consent agenda.
Minutes of Bangor City Council meeting of October 16th, 2024, Government Operations Committee meeting of October 21st, 2024, Finance Committee meeting of October 21st, 2024, Infrastructure Committee meeting of September 16th, 2024, and Business and Economic Development Committee meetings of October 7th, 2024, and October 21st, 2024. Liquor license renewals, application for liquor license renewal, malt wine spirits of Main Course Hospitality Group, doing business as Bangor Courtyard Marriott, 236 Sylvan Road. Application for liquor license renewal, malt wine spirits of Dysart Service, doing business as Dysart Service, 1110 Broadway. Application for liquor license renewal, malt wine spirits of Delano Merritt, doing business as Judy's Restaurant, 125 State Street. 24-332 order authorizing the execution of a municipal quitclaim deed for real estate located at 52 Market Street. 24-333 order authorizing the execution of a municipal quitclaim deed for real estate located at 65 Curve Street. 24-334 order authorizing the execution of a municipal quitclaim deed for real estate located at Ohio Street. 24-335 order authorizing the city manager to accept one firearm as a result of a state criminal forfeiture, Honeg. 24-336 order authorizing the city manager to accept one firearm as a result of a state criminal forfeiture, Wood. 24-337 order authorizing applying for a grant of up to $75,000 from the State of Maine's Community Resilience Partnership Program. 24-338 order authorizing the city manager to deed .84 acres of City of Bangor owned property abutting Marina Road in Hamden to the town of Hamden. 24-339 order authorizing the city manager to execute an amended agreement with Maine Public Employees Retirement System. 24-340 order authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with the Maine Department of Transportation Overweight Construction Vehicles, MDOT Projects 025-631.10, US 202 I-395 Bridge Deck Replacement. 24-341 order authorizing the city manager to execute a utility easement on map BIA Lot 001 off Main Avenue. 24-342 order authorizing the city manager to enter into a Ford Warranty Service Provider Agreement and the Field Service Provider Operating Agreement. 24-343 order establishing a Community Conservation Horticulture Program through the Inflation Reduction Act Urban and Community Forestry Project Canopy Grant Program. 24-344 order appointing student election clerks for the November 5th, 2024 election. 24-345 order authorizing the city engineer to begin the process of discontinuing Davis Court and a portion of First Street. 24-346 order authorizing the city manager to execute a lease amendment to the agreement with TNT Capital, Inc. for a corporate hangar at Bangor International Airport. 24-347 order authorizing the city manager to execute a collateral assignment of lease with Waterfront Concerts and First National Bank. 24-348 resolve ratifying staff action of accepting a donation of 26 trees from Bangor Beautiful for the intersection of Washington Street and Oak Street. 24-349 resolve ratifying staff's action to apply for a Maine Department of Transportation and Bangor Area Comprehensive Transportation System grant for new sidewalks on Main Avenue. 24-350 resolve ratifying staff actions to apply for allocation funding from the Penobscot County Emergency Management Agency for for fiscal year 2022 and fiscal year 2023 for police and fire in the amounts of $109,429.63 and $81,247. 24-351 resolve ratifying staff action to apply for Maine Department of Transportation funding for the purpose of commercial driver license training, driver instructor training, a spare ADA paratransit van, and electric maintenance vehicle for the community connector.
Move passage of the consent agenda.
Second?
Thank you. We have a motion. We have a second. Questions or comments from council? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilor Dean?
Yes.
Councilor Fish?
Yes.
Councilor Fournier?
Yes.
Councilor Hawes?
Yes.
Councilor Leonard?
Yes.
Councilor Schaefer?
Yes.
Councilor Trumbull?
Yes.
Councilor Yakabaga?
Yes.
Councilor Pelletier?
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
Consent agenda has passage. Referrals to committee and first reading.
24-352 resolve authorizing the city manager to accept and appropriate $569,390 in Federal Transit Administration funds for the purpose of funding new transit technology, an electric service vehicle, a used ADA van, and transit center amenities. Councilor Fournier.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Council Chair, I'd like to move the council waive the requirement of reading on 2 separate days with respect to Council Resolve 24-352. And I say that just trying to keep everything within the same council year.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and we have a second to waive the second reading. Any questions or discussion on that? Roll call vote.
Councilor Dean?
Yes.
Councilor Fish?
Yes.
Councilor Fournier?
Yes.
Councilor Hawes?
Yes.
Councilor Leonard?
Yes.
Councilor Schaefer?
Yes.
Councilor Trumbull?
Yes.
Councilor Yakabaga?
Yes.
Councilor Pelletier?
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
Madam Chair, this resolve will accept and appropriate $569,390 in Federal Transit Administration funds for the purposes of acquiring new transit technology, an electric service vehicle, and a used ADA van, and transit center amenities. The FTA allocates 533.9B and bus facilities formula funds for public transportation agencies. And as a result, the City of Bangor Community Connector receives yearly appropriate, help me out there.
Appropriations?
Thank you.
Apportionment.
Must be spent on permissible capital projects related to buses and bus facilities. These funds cannot be used for operating costs and require a 20% local match. As a result, the city will hold these funds over a multiple of years in order to acquire enough funding to move forward with the project. This also allows the local share to be raised over multiple fiscal years. These formula funds are allocated to the Community Connector directly and are programmed for specific uses through the Metropolitan Planning Organization, the Bangor Area Comprehensive Transportation System. Once programmed, staff are able to build out the grant in the funds in the federal system known as TRAMS, or the Transit Award Management System, and eventually draw down the funds. The breakdown of the 533.9 bus and bus facilities formula funds at a 80-20 match are as follows. For fiscal year 2019, $116,820 for bus technology. In fiscal year 20 or 2020, $121,585 again for bus technology. For fiscal year 2021, $112,063 for bus technology, used ADA van, and a service vehicle. Fiscal year 22, $107,829, and that was used for the transit center extras. And fiscal year 2023, $111,093, again used for bus technology. This item was reviewed at a special finance committee meeting just prior to this meeting tonight. Guess I got to make a motion, don't I? I'll make a motion for Resolve 24-352.
Second.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilor Fournier. Councilor Trumbull?
Just a question, if Finance Director Dave, sorry, Dave. I know this, we discussed this earlier tonight, but just so I'm clear on this, the apportionments were based on prior year's activity at the bus, but these are being spent going forward, right? Because we refer to fiscal years 19 through 23. That's how they determine what we got for funding that's being spent in the future.
No, so the Community Connector is allocated funds every year based on a formula.
Right, but we're referring to fiscal years.
Yeah, it
Previous.
goes back because we hold on to those funds until we can fully fund a capital project since they cannot be used for operating.
Right, the FTA's formula was back in fiscal year 19, and based on that formula, they awarded the city of Bangor the amount that you're seeing on the resolve, and that money has been held until the city collected.
Okay, I'm just confused because we're accepting, we've already accepted the funds.
You're approving the accepting, and now
Okay.
we've been awarded the funds
Right.
by the formula,
Yeah.
but now we're formally accepting the money in order to use it and spend the money on the technology. And it took us this long to build that up and determine what type of technology we needed to put into the transit system.
Right. So they weren't spent in those fiscal years, it's been.
No, we have not spent the.
Right, that's what I.
That's the year of allocation.
Right,
Right,
yeah.
it was allocated, but
Right.
it's sitting, essentially it's sitting in a pot.
Exactly, right.
Based on the action
Okay.
tonight, we'll be able to begin drawing that
Okay.
down and installing the
Right.
technology.
Okay. I'm
Thank
good.
you. Other questions or discussion? Okay, roll call vote?
Councilor Dean?
Yes.
Councilor Fish?
Yes.
Councilor Fournier?
Yes.
Councilor Hawes?
Yes.
Councilor Leonard?
Yes.
Councilor Schaefer?
Yes.
Councilor Trimble?
Yes,
Councilor Yakabaga?
Yes.
Councilor Pelletier?
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
Item 24-352 has passage. Next item, please.
24-353, resolve accepting and appropriating fiscal year 2022 and 2023 funding from the Penobscot County Emergency Management Agency for public safety in the amounts of $109,429.63 and $81,247. Councilor Dean.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I move that the council waive the requirement of reading on two separate days with respect to Council Resolve 24-353 for a similar reason to the last resolve due to the current council staying on one resolve.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to waive the second reading. Seeing no discussion, roll call vote.
Councilor Dean.
Yes.
Councilor Fish.
Yes.
Councilor Fournier.
Yes.
Councilor Hawes.
Yes.
Councilor Leonard.
Yes.
Councilor Schaefer.
Yes.
Councilor Trumbull.
yes,
Councilor Yakabaga.
Yes.
Councilor Pelletier.
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
Thank you. The second reading requirement is waived.
This resolve will accept and appropriate funding from the fiscal year 2022 and 2023 Penobscot County Emergency Management Agency, County EMA, for public safety in the amounts of $109,429.63 and $81,247. Prior to fiscal year 2022, Bangor Police and Fire Departments were direct recipients of this funding due to our designation as a metro site. In fiscal year '22, the state changed the process and announced that all funding would be issued to each county emergency management agency, with no direct contributions to the metros. The funds will be utilized to support special response teams such as Rescue and Bomb Squad, active treat violent offender training, updating and replacing outdated communication equipment, and purchasing cybersecurity equipment. This item was reviewed and recommended at the Finance Committee meeting on October 21st, 2024. I move passage of Council Resolve 24-353.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Dean. We have a motion. We have a second. Questions or discussion on this item? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilor Dean.
Yes.
Councilor Fish.
Yes.
Councilor Fournier.
Yes.
Councilor Hawes.
Yes.
Councilor Leonard.
Yes.
Councilor Schaefer.
Yes.
Councilor Trumbull.
yes,
Councilor Yakabaga.
Yes.
Councilor Pelletier.
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
24-353 has passage. Unfinished business.
24-319, ordinance amending City Code, Chapter 231, Public Parks, and Chapter 234, Public Property, to improve the enforceability of the city's event permit policy and for added safety in public parks and on public property. Councilor Hawes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. These ordinance amendments would revise the city's public parks ordinance and public property ordinance to improve the enforceability of the city's event permit policy and would provide additional safety provisions for allowed activities in public parks and on public property. The proposed amendments would make violation of the city's event permit policy a violation of the city code to improve the enforceability of the event permit policy. The proposed changes would also update the civil penalty provisions for violations of the public parks and public property ordinances by making such violations subject to the enforcement provision of Section 926 of the City Code, which is the default enforcement provision for ordinance violations. A proposed change to the public parks ordinance would prohibit citizens from bringing in sharp objects into city parks, such as knives or needles, as these objects, when left behind where children or others using the park may be exposed to potential injury. There are exceptions for knives with rounded blades or blunt edges without serration teeth, such as butter knives or plastic cutlery, and for people authorized by the city to carry out necessary maintenance or repair work, as well as city employees or agents authorized to set up or remove equipment required for an authorized organized activity. Another proposed change adds hunting knives to the list of weapons already prohibited from being brought into city parks. This item was reviewed and recommended at the Government Operations Committee meeting on October 7, 2024. I would move passage of ordinance 24-319.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hawes. We have a motion. We have a second. Questions or discussion on this item? Roll call vote.
Councilor Dean?
Yes.
Councilor Fish?
Yes.
Councilor Fournier?
Yes.
Councilor Hawes?
Yes.
Councilor Leonard?
Yes.
Councilor Schaefer?
Yes.
Councilor Trumbull?
Yes.
Councilor Yakabaga?
Yes.
Councilor Pelletier?
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
24-319 has passage. New business.
24-354, order authorizing the city manager to release a 3-acre portion of Talbot Park to the Bangor YMCA. Councilor Leonard.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Give me 1 second, having technical issues. Thank you. Make a motion on 24-354.
Second.
This order would authorize the city manager to release approximately 3 acres of the Talbot Park to the Bangor Young Men's Christian Association at such time as the Voluntary Response Action Program permit conditions associated with the property are amended to the satisfaction of the Maine Department of Environmental Protection to allow for the intended uses by the Bangor Y. The city would retain 1 acre of Talbot Park to maintain the playground there. The Bangor Y is a community leader in supporting children, adults, and families in their lifelong quest for physical, emotional, and social wellness. It has acquired a number of properties on Main Street, Davis Court, and First Street as part of its plans to develop a new facility and campus in furtherance of this mission. These properties abut Talbot Park. The inclusion of most of Talbot Park in the Bangor Y's development of its new facility and campus would provide a public benefit and contribute to public health initiatives of the city. As part of the VRAP permit conditions that apply to the property, the Bangor Y will only use the transferred portion of Talbot Park as a green space and open space for youth sports and recreational purposes, together with parking areas, driveways, pathways, fencing, and lighting. Those spaces will be available to the public outside of the Bangor Wise business hours, subject to the Bangor Wise rules and regulations. Representatives of the city and the Bangor Y have worked with representatives of the Talbot family to ensure the park and field space continue to recognize Mr. Talbot. And the city, in concert with the Talbot family, hereby commits to identifying another location to recognize Mr. Talbot's contribution to our community and our state by April 30th, 2025.
Thank you, Councilor Leonard. We have a motion? We have a second? We do. Thank you very much. Any questions or discussion on this item? Okay, 24-354, roll call vote. Everybody, all at once, roll call vote.
Councilor Dean?
Yes.
Councilor Fish?
Yes.
Councilor Hawes?
You're muted.
Yes.
Councilor Leonard?
Yes.
Councilor Schaefer?
Yes.
Councilor Trumbull?
Yes.
Councilor Yakabaga?
Yes.
Councilor Pelletier?
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
Twenty-four 354 has passed. Next item.
24-355, order amending the City of Bangor 2022 Comprehensive Plan. Councilor Fish.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This order would amend the City of Bangor 2022 Comprehensive Plan that was adopted on July 10, 2023 by the Council Order 23-218. The majority of the proposed amendments are to align the plan with requirements and suggestions from the state agencies that reviewed the original plan during the state's consistency review. The requirements from the state pertaining to align the city's future investments with a comprehensive plan and designating a minimum percentage of affordable housing to be maintained. The suggestions were primarily clarifications with regard to the environmental section of the inventory and some of the environmental policies, such as stating which sea level rise projections would be considered when planning and permitting floodplain development. The other changes are associated with adding an action item on undertaking activities to support the city's B-City USA designation. As a regularly scheduled meeting on October 15, 2024, the City of Bangor Planning Board held a public hearing on amending the 2022 Comprehensive Plan and voted unanimously to recommend that the proposed amendments to the plan be adopted. Madam Chair, I move for passage of Order 22-355.
Second. Thank you, Councilor Fish. We have a motion. We have a second. Questions or discussion on this item? Roll call vote.
Councilor Dean?
Yes.
Councilor Fish?
Yes.
Councilor Fournier?
Yes.
Councilor Hawes?
Yes.
Councilor Leonard?
Yes.
Councilor Schaefer?
Yes.
Councilor Trumbull?
Yes.
Councilor Yakabaga?
Yes.
Councilor Pelletier?
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
24-355 has passage. Next item.
24-356, resolve ratifying the city manager's appointment of Jefferson Davis as the Director of Engineering. Councilor Trumbull.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Madam Chair, I would move for passage of Resolve 24-356.
Second.
This will ratify the execution of an employment agreement with Jefferson Davis as the Director of Engineering. Mr. Davis received his bachelor's degree in landscape architecture from the University of Massachusetts. He has worked in the city's engineering department for nearly 8 years as a licensed landscape architect and project engineer, serving closely with the former city engineer. Prior to coming to Bangor, he worked at Sewell Company in Ames as a licensed landscape architect and project engineer / civil engineering technician, at times directly involved in project contracted by the city. Mr. Davis possesses a wealth of information related to the city, its projects, and plans for the future. The proposed employment contract will authorize a starting salary of $116,937. The terms of this agreement is three years and shall be automatically extended on an annual basis unless either party provides notice 60 days prior to the expiration. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Trumbull. We have a motion. We have a second. Questions or discussion on this item? Roll call vote.
Councillor Dean?
Yes.
Councillor Fish?
Yes.
Councillor Fournier?
Yes.
Don't play with it.
Councillor Hawes?
Yes.
Councillor Leonard?
Yes.
Councillor Schaefer?
Yes.
Councillor Trumbull?
Yes.
Councillor Yakabaga?
Yes.
Councillor Pelletier?
Yes.
And yes, 0 no.
24-356. Mr. Davis, would you like to say anything?
Thank you.
Next item.
24-357, resolve ratifying the city manager's action in providing Dignity First a right of first refusal to lease an approximately 7-acre parcel for the possible development of a 60-unit tiny home community. Councillor Yakabaga.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I move the passage of Resolve 24-357.
Second.
Thank you. This resolve would ratify the city manager's action to provide Dignity First a right of first refusal to lease an approximately 7-acre parcel in an area generally referred to 55 Cleveland Street. Dignity First proposed to lease this parcel for a long-term period for the purpose of constructing a permanent supportive housing development, Homeful Village. Homeful Village would create a permanent supportive village of 60 tiny homes for unhoused people and intentional neighbors. Dignity First has conducted significant outreach and provided background on this initiative in varying public spaces for the last 2 years. The request was last reviewed in executive session at a council workshop on October 16, 2024. Though the city has not formally decided upon the potential sale of this property for this use, we are amenable to Dignity First to seek funds as they become available, which require documentation of willingness to provide site control.
Thank you, Councillor Yakabaga. We have a motion. We have a second. Are there questions or discussion on this item? I know we had some public comment. Please approach. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Tim Reed, I'm a retired Bangor policeman and also a resident of Bangor. Bangor has a problem with homeless. I don't think anybody can argue that. It's verified by this council reaching out to a street plus because citizens downtown weren't safe with the homeless and didn't feel secure. A project of this magnitude will have negative impact regardless. It will have negative impact just because of the size of it. We can't build our way out of a homeless problem. It's a nice thought utopian, but it's not based on reality. And the fact of the matter is, when this goes out, you're gonna have people coming to Bangor for no other reason than they're gonna get free stuff. That's why they come. Not all of them, but a vast majority. A lot of homeless people are homeless by choice. And that's verified by, even locally with the Valley Avenue encampment, but 30% that were sheltered are now unsheltered again. Most of that's by choice. We can't build that out. A lot of people are gonna come, and a lot of people that are going to come are not coming here to work, they're not coming here to contribute in any meaningful way. And half or more won't be from me. If the council's serious about decreasing the number of homeless people, this is not the approach to do it. This is going to attract many more people than it can accommodate. And the other people that come are going to stay as long as they get free stuff. That's just a fact of life. You don't have to like it. It's kind of an inconvenient truth, but it is reality. And when I was a policeman, I talked to people many times in February. They got arrested from Tennessee or Texas or whatever, and say, what are you doing here in February in Bangor, Maine? And they'd say, I heard the welfare is good. I mean, no qualms about it. We're not going to build ourselves out of this problem. It is a problem, and there's multifaceted reasons, and there's going to be multifaceted solutions, but Bangor's done its share. And I think if we want to decrease the number of homeless at something like the Bangor city, as a city, we need to stand up and say no to projects like this. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Justin Cartier, resident of Bangor. I too hope you choose not to pass this resolution. 60 homes in a set, 60 tiny homes don't sound inclusive for anyone. It sounds like a 6x9 cell. When you put this many tiny homes in one place like that, you're going to bring a lot of things together, a lot of the problems that many of the bigger cities see. And we're going to bring it right here to Bangor, Maine, where we don't need it. We need to return the gift of desperation to those that are homeless or addicts, and try to enforce some of the laws that we already have in place to help get them to that point of desperation where they're desperate for a better place to live. Supplying them with tiny homes on the taxpayer's dime is just, all we're going to do is we're going to tax all the good people in the city of Bangor out of the city of Bangor. And if that's the goal, I guess that's why we should keep passing all these spending, continue to spend money like we have it. Because maybe you haven't noticed, but the people of the city of Bangor and the state of Maine are broke. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Jamie Beck, and Dignity First is a nonprofit which I am the executive director of. I appreciate you entertaining our project proposal and hearing out our plans to provide housing for people who are unhoused, who currently live in Bangor. They are Bangor residents. I know that concerns have been aired about whether or not creating homes for people who are unhoused is going to draw people in, or if it's going to cause more issues. We are in a huge crisis across the state with housing, as well as having not enough resources for people who are lacking resources. We are really fortunate in the fact that we are replicating a proven model. It has been proven in many places across the country. Having spaces for people to actually have a stable, permanent home leads to positive results, not just for the people who are being housed, but also for the community around them. We are basing our model off of a model that started in Austin, Texas, and is being replicated in dozens of cities across the United States. And we are not asking the city for any money. So the taxpayers are not out any money at all for this project. We are not asking the city for money at this moment in time and don't have plans in the near future to do so. So we very much appreciate you hearing out our project plans. We look forward to working with the city in order to work on a problem that has increased. I grew up in Bangor. I went away to college. I came back. I get it. This is not the way that things used to be. It really feels good to work together and to be able to work together to find a solution that makes sense, that helps people, and it increases the thriving community that we have right now. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Brandon Turner. I'm a resident of Bangor, a lifelong resident. I'm here to speak about the property and Dignity First. So I've been doing outreach with folks directly on the street by myself for 7 years. What I see, a lot of the problems is we can throw people or put people into housing, but there's no supportive system. That's what's different about this village. There's going to be buildings that are there that we have. Dignity First has signed on like MOUs with different organizations. This isn't a solo project. This is the whole community. This is Pegwest Cap. This is St. Joe's. Multiple organizations coming in to provide the support systems directly to those people. In addition, it's going to be providing other supports from outside the community. They're welcome to come in, do the classes, meet with the recovery coaches. Multitude of different resources are going to be there for a supportive system. In addition, it's going to be 20% is going to be intentional neighbors, which is folks who are used to being housed. They're just going to be neighbors in the neighborhood to be just support system if people have questions, whatever that may look like. So what we're doing is, what they're going to be doing is building and teaching people how to live behind four walls and giving them the support systems in case they start to like fall or slip. So this is completely different than just throwing up buildings and putting people into housing. In addition, I reiterate that we're not asking the city for any money. just acquiring the property in order to continue with this mission. Again, it's it's over 80% retention rate at Mobile Loaves and Fishes, which is the originator down in Austin, Texas. And research has shown it's very effective. So I think it's an amazing program. So thank you.
Hillary Simmons, live on the Tree Streets. Just have a couple, and I know you don't answer questions, but did this particular piece of property for the 7 acres of being leased, was it given to other agencies for the ability to lease this property? How was First Dignity, how was this brought about? It said that was an executive session. Why did it need to go into an executive session? Why shouldn't it have come out to the public to have the knowledge of the leasing of the 7 acres of land? There might have been some other nonprofit organization or something that would be interested in also leasing this 7 acres.
It's not unusual for an organization who wants to pursue acquiring or leasing our property to submit a request to us to do that. So we had not actively marketed this property at this point. The request came forward. Any request for the acquisition, use, or lease of city property typically occurs in executive session first. It's up to the council to determine whether or not they wish to move forward with that or not. If so, then we have a conversation publicly, which is what we're having here. We're ratifying the actions. There was a timing issue with this particular one.
Okay, thank you.
Hey folks, Luke McKennell, local developer, business owner, taxpayer in Bangor. Also have major concerns about the decision made or that you're about to make. As you know, commercial lots, land is not made every day. There are very few commercial lots around the city airport. I feel like it should be an area for economic development, have a tax base behind it, support our other economic endeavors. By giving this up to Dignity First or any other nonprofit, it should have probably been presented and offered to a number of different entities. Myself, being a developer, we would have loved to, have a chance at least discussing a project like that, whether or not it's here or whether or not it's anywhere else in the city of Bangor. I just think that by making this decision tonight, you're entering into a contract or at least a discussion that there's a lot of unintended consequences. For instance, what if the city enters into a lease agreement with this project and it fails financially? Whose burden does that become? Is it all the city of Bangor's taxpayers' problem now? There's just a number of things that I don't think we're really thinking through. And as she said, the public really wasn't made knowledge of some of the details behind the project. That's why you really got to think before you do this. I do not support it at all. Thanks.
Seeing no one else approach and no one online, council questions and comments. Councillor Fish.
I'm totally against this. I'm not, I'm sympathetic about our unhoused people. I understand we have a problem in Bangor. We have a problem, and people will say, well, it's not just Bangor, but I know of other cities our size. I've spoken with other council people from cities bigger than Bangor, and I think we've made a lot of mistakes in how we've handled this. I don't know what the right way is, but I think that this is just going to be another mistake. We have had other leaders from the airport come and say there's been expressed interest in lots around the airport. And I think our forefathers decades ago saw the value of these lots and where they are in location with its proximity to the Bangor International Airport, where these lots are in proximity to I-95 and the rest of the world. I mean, we're the first stop when you come into America. And maybe there isn't somebody at our door right now promising to put up a manufacturing or any type of other economic development today. But if our forefathers put this land aside because it was so valuable for the benefit of all the residents, not 60, not the small group of unhoused. I know they're vulnerable, but I think that this council, this city has bent over backwards and given ARPA funds and monies and services. And we have, I think, bent over backwards to meet and do all that we can to help and service this vulnerable group of people. And I think by doing this, we are hijacking the future of the people in this city that deserve better opportunities to benefit the whole. Tax-paying companies that have a nonprofit, and I just don't see, if you think that an option isn't hurting, it's just an option, they still have to raise money, it hurts. I'm in real estate, if someone makes an offer on a property and there's an option, that option has to be presented, the terms of that option have to be presented to your competitor. So now they know what the terms and they can match it. Then you go back and you have to match it. It's going to discourage other interests by even giving an option. It's going to hurt us. So I'm sorry, I would like to see more opportunities and more creative ideas to help our unhoused, but this is definitely not the right one, in my opinion.
Councilor Tundra?
Unfortunately, I couldn't make that meeting that night, so I just had a few questions, unfortunately. But one question was just kind of brought up by Councilor Fish as well. In the order, it refers to a right of first refusal, not an option. So an option ties up a property for usually a year or two. Right of first refusal, somebody else comes forward, they have to decide if they want to. So is this an option or right of first refusal?
It's a right of first refusal.
So next month, somebody could come forward and say they'd like to develop this lot, and they would have to determine at that time if they want to exercise, if they want to match that option, right?
Yeah.
So it's okay, so it doesn't tie up this lot for a year or 2 years, or anything. Somebody can still come forward that might want to develop it.
That's right.
Okay, and then just a couple of things. When we had the first discussion on this, I think it was a much larger proposal we had from Dignity First that went down to Main Avenue. And if I'm correct, this proposal basically is the footprint of what's currently the encampment out there. Is that correct?
Correct,
Okay, in which abuts the Hope House.
correct.
And again, if correct, the other thing, we haven't got all the details in place. We could put a payment in lieu of taxes in this agreement, couldn't we? So we haven't set those guidelines yet, right? We could have a payment in lieu of taxes, so they make a payment on it. And the other thing is, when that park was developed out there, it was developed with the idea that it would be a medical business park. I mean, there's a dentist office out there, there's a cardiology office, and if this certainly seems to me to meet the definition of a medical need of people that are in that have chemical dependencies and have other issues. I mean, they're homeless, but it's a much smaller footprint. We need to have some type of transitional housing, and this is where the services are in the city. Just, to me, it makes sense that's where it's going to be. And so I understand people's concerns, but I think that's a perfect spot in the city for this, and I think it's a good proposal. And if somebody else comes forward with a better proposal, we can listen to them.
Councilor Leonard?
I'll just add with some statistics. So someone who is houseless in Maine usually racks up an emergency room bill annually of in the hundreds of thousands, if not seven figures. That's so expensive, we might as well just put a down payment on a house for someone who is houseless. I mean, those prices are just outrageous. But when we get into personnel, last year, I hope that the numbers have gone down for police and fire, but last year, 50% of a police officer's time was spent with someone who was unhoused. These are individuals that are highly trained for a multitude of different services, and to have them constantly be used for homelessness intervention is a complete and utter waste of resources. We have to apply a strategy that is actually going to get people off the streets and rehabilitate them back into society. No one can go from being houseless to getting a job the following day. There is a period of recovery that we have to maintain. And I get that people are concerned about people coming in and utilizing resources that they might not think should be used to them. I don't know what our other options are. We can't kick them out. They have Eighth Amendment rights, and it's going to be incredibly challenging to work with someone without violating one of those rights that they have as an American citizen. And so the cheapest way to get someone rehabilitated is to get them the services that they need. And we are having such a huge increase of chronic homelessness that a lot of our social workers and outreach workers are being so overburdened by the chronic people, by people who are suffering from chronic homelessness, that those who get on the streets and become homeless in a short period of time aren't able to get those services that would actually rehabilitate those people much sooner. For those that require much more specific and more trained avenues of approach to approach their recovery, we have to be much more methodical in how we respond to these individuals, because what we're doing right now is it's not enough. We need more bodies, we need more resources. This is a resource that we can utilize. It's worked nationally in Finland, it's worked in Portland, Maine, and I mean, I'm happy to receive any other plans or ideas from the public, but it has to involve housing. If it doesn't involve housing in some way, shape, or form, I just don't know how you want us to resolve this problem. So it's just, I don't know what other options that we have here. So this is a partner who's coming forward that wants to tackle this issue. No one else is coming forward to tackle this issue in this specific sort of way. So I'm happy to give my support for this order, and we'll see what can come from this. That's all I have to say.
Other council comments? Councilor Fournier.
Thank you. So when we discussed this in executive session the other day, to me, it came down to it's an option, and at best a one-year option. And it was just giving Dignity First the opportunity to be able to go out and raise some funds, specifically through Main State Housing. And I wish you all the best on getting that. However, me as a banker, if I were to look at this deal, I could not get behind it. I think there are too many hurdles to be had, both operationally and raising of the funds. But again, I'm waffling here a little bit. But to me, at this point in time, we're doing two things. One, the city manager has already signed this off, so we're ratifying something that's already been done. Might not like it, but that's happened. And second,
Sorry, folks in the gallery, this is not a time for your comment. We've heard public comment on this issue. So please remain quiet so the folks on Zoom can hear. Thank you.
so, and most importantly, it's just giving them the opportunity to be able to raise these funds. But again, in all likelihood, I don't think they will be able to raise those funds needed. I'll be supportive of ratifying what the city manager did.
Councilor Yakubaga.
And I myself support this project, actually. Councillor Fish, at the other meeting last week, I guess, she mentioned how we, as a city, we failed the unhoused population. We were unable to solve the problems. We were unable to house them or provide them with what they need, so we failed as a city. I somehow agree with that, even though we are still working with them. We have outreach workers with them every day. And I agree that there are some folks that are never going to be housed. Even if we house them, they will be out. I totally agree with that statement. But we still have other people who are unhoused. And with the support system that this organization promises to provide, I feel we have a chance to succeed. given it is a model that was already done in few other towns in around the states, I don't see why we object to this or we don't want to give them a chance. Here we have someone who is dedicated to this work, who is willing to reach out to funders, to put effort and time to invest into this project while we somehow failed. I don't see why we don't want to give them a chance to succeed. You have a year of our discussions, and it was big. And then with our discussions and conversations, we recommended that start small so that you can probably hopefully, and I hope you will succeed. And so I don't see why we do not support this. And I don't want to mention numbers that Councillor Leonard stated. I leave that part to him, but this is where I stand from day one. I can't see why not. So I hope this succeeds.
Councillor Dean.
I just want clarification on the executive session. When it was brought to our attention that Dignity First had an interest in this parcel of land, we did have a discussion about downsizing the parcel of land, which most people were in agreement with. However, it wasn't the city manager that came up with this. It did go up to vote, and we voted, a majority ruled that this would come to council. So I do want that known, that it was not a decision of the city manager, it was a decision of the council.
Thank you. I will be voting no on this, not because I don't believe in housing first, but because I don't think this is the right parcel of land for this project. I believe in the vision of providing people with supportive permanent housing with wraparound services. I know that is a path out of homelessness and into stability for many people, but I don't think this particular business park is the right place in Bangor for that to happen. Roll call vote.
Councillor Dean?
Yes.
Councillor Fish?
No.
Councillor Fournier?
Yes.
Councillor Hawes?
No.
Councillor Leonard?
Yes.
Councillor Schaefer?
Yes.
Councillor Trumbull?
Yes.
Councillor Yakabaga?
Yes.
Councillor Pelletier?
No.
6 yes, 3 no.
24-357 has passage. Final item on the agenda.
24-358, order authorizing the city manager to commence negotiations with Developers Collaborative for the planning, development, and construction of a housing development on Grandview Avenue. Councillor Schaefer.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I move passage of Order 24-358.
Second.
This order will authorize the city manager and/or her designee to negotiate an agreement for the planning, development, and construction of up to 75 units of housing on a city-owned property on Grandview Avenue. The final form and layout of units will return for city council review and approval. The 2023-2024 city council's goal was to increase the opportunities for all residents to have access to quality housing that meet their needs. With that direction, the staff worked to identify city-owned parcels that could support this priority. The Grandview Avenue parcel, a former tree nursery that is located near open space, schools, shopping, and public transit, was identified as an ideal location for the development of housing within our community. The city council proactively rezoned the property for residential use, allocated ARPA funds to buy down infrastructure costs, supported a public charrette, and authorized a request for qualifications to identify a developer to be able to bring a project to fruition with an emphasis on the missing middle, i.e. households making 80% to 120% of area median income. And this is, I'm going to sidebar this out of the order, just so you know, for a family of 4, area median income is about $94,000. So this is not really low-income housing. It's I could live here. The city received 3 responses to the RFQ, and after carefully reviewing qualifications and the completion of an interview process, staff recommendation was to enter into negotiations with Developers Collaborative. Developers Collaborative has an outstanding reputation and proven track record in developing similar housing projects across the state.
Thank you, Councillor Schaefer. We have a motion. We have a second. Questions or discussion on this item? Roll call vote.
Councillor Dean?
Yes.
Councillor Fish?
Yes.
Councillor Fournier?
Yes.
Councillor Hawes?
Yes.
Counselor Leonard?
Yes.
Counselor Schaefer?
Yes.
Counselor Trumbull?
Yes.
Counselor Yakabaga?
Yes.
Counselor Pelletier?
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
24-358 has passage. Brings us to the end of the regular agenda for this evening. This is my last night to bang the gavel ahead of the upcoming election. Next time we're here, we'll have some new counselors to welcome to the dais. As we always do, we'd like to thank our outgoing counselors for their service to the city of Bangor. Counselor Schaefer, Counselor Yakabaga, and Counselor Hawes are all ending their term as of tonight, and we have plaques to thank them for their service. Counselor Schaefer.
Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Yakabaga, best of luck in your new city. We will miss you.
Thank you so much for this beautiful place.
Counselor Hawes, your plaque is in your inbox. Thank you very much for your service.
I also want to recognize the outgoing chair, Counselor Pelletier, with the traditional gavel. And since I was the person to nominate you, you had an exceptional year as our leader, and I thank you for your service to the city and your service to this council. And I wish you well, and there is your.
Thank you very much. Didn't break a single one all year. Thank you, I appreciate that.
I also have a few other things to say, if I may.
Yes, we're gonna do council closing remarks. Why don't
Okay.
we start with you, Counselor
Okay.
Schaefer?
So I have a few things to say. So first of all, I want to start by thanking the counselors that I served with over the last 6 years. And I made this list in order of length of shared time and then year, because I love data. So I served a year each with Counselors Graham, Neely, Weston, Sarah Dubé, Counselor Dean, Counselor Fish. I served 2 years with Ben Sprague, Laura Supika, and Kara Pelletier. I served 3 years with Counselor Sarah Nichols, Joe Leonard, Angela Okafor, Jonathan Sprague, and Dina Yakubaga. 5 years went to Claire Davitt, Counselor Fournier, Counselor Hawes, and I served all 6 years with Counselor Trumbull. It is sort of interesting.
A lot of people can say that.
I know that Counselor Hawes may have more years over the many decades, but it was interesting to see that I am the most senior person on this council leaving, which was sort of interesting. And that time, it's actually been a historic time for City Council. For the last 5 years, we have had a majority of female councilors, and that will end with the departure of Counselor Yakubaga and I. In that time, there were 5 council chairs. 3 of those were women, Counselor Nichols, Counselor Pelletier, and Counselor Davitt. And the 2 city managers, Kathy Conlow and Deb Laurie, and city staff, you guys do so much great work. And there are so many things that I am proud of from my work. And things, the skate park is still one of my favorite things, because I remember that first skate park meeting and thinking like, this is why I'm here, and it's a little thing. For every little thing that I have been a part of, there's been 100 little things that aren't as obvious as a skate park. I'm looking forward to seeing the side load trash. I remember when the trash barrels came out during the pandemic, and that was pretty great. And I'm looking forward to the City Hall renovations being complete, and I hope I'm invited for a tour. I'm also looking forward to things like the 14th Street extension, multi-use path. I'm looking at a new city engineer, so I'll be watching those meetings. The Grandview housing that we just approved. I always say housing is boring because it happens in all these little meetings. And also the Diverging Diamond. When that Diverging Diamond comes, I am going to be there going in circles and enjoying it. And also I wanted to talk about, I wanted to do a top 10. If you want to do city council, these are some things that you should know. First of all, you need to learn how to read big numbers quickly. And the best big numbers that you read quickly have the word grant involved. One thing that I have said over and over again, and I will continue to say, is that childcare is economic development. When you invest in childcare, you are investing in your workforce, you are investing in your community. I just looked today, I actually found my old tuition sheet from when my daughter, who is now at college, first went to daycare, and I paid in 2008 $725 a month. And that was very expensive. And I will let you know that the price of childcare has outpaced almost everything. That same price now, I just looked it up, if I were to send that child to daycare right now, I'd be paying between $285 a week at our beautiful Bangor Y, up to $500 a week at the childcare center that she was at for $725 back in 2008. Childcare is economic development. If you are making everyone happy all of the time, you are not doing your job. And so you are going to make your neighbors mad sometimes. You might make your friends mad. You might make your fellow counselors mad. But if you are making everyone happy all the time, you are quite simply not doing the job of making hard decisions. The writers of Parks and Recreation clearly, definitely, absolutely have municipal experience. And that is absolutely based on somebody's lived reality. And it is even more amusing to watch after you've been on the inside. You should listen more than you talk. We are here to listen. We are here to hear what people have to say. If you are talking more than you are listening, again, take a step back, make sure you're doing your job. There are no magic beans. And there have been a few things that have come through this chambers that I really feel like are magic beans. Some have been approved, some have not, but there are no magic beans. There are no magic solutions to the homeless crisis. There are no magic solutions to having affordable housing. It takes lots of little work. Potholes are nature's speed bumps, and I have seen this through at least twice, this conversation happening around Fairmount Park, and that everyone goes too fast, we want speed bumps, we want speed bumps, we want speed bumps, and then it turns into there's potholes everywhere. We need the street paved. As soon as you pave the street, it becomes, we need more speed bumps. So just remember that potholes are nature's speed bumps. That city works very hard to get them filled. You are but one of 9 on this council. Each of us is one person. We are a body that makes decisions, but we're just one of 9. This is not a profitable venture. We make $2,000 a year, and I have absolutely had people accuse me of sitting up here because I'm in it for the money, so I would like to break that down for you. $2,000 a year equals $38 a week. And I'm averaging very low, and I know because I just discussed this with Councillor Fish. I said, okay, so say it's 8 hours a week, 5 hours of meetings, email, side conversations we have to have. So that works out to about $4.80 an hour that we make to do this. We do not do this for the money. There's nobody up here that is doing this for the money. If you are, then you also should be very invested in affordable housing. For this $4.80 an hour, you will miss some of your kids' field hockey games. You will miss some family dinners. You will miss, my kids tell me every time there was a vacation we went on. And I zoomed in because it was an important meeting that I couldn't miss, that I felt like it was my duty to be in attendance at. So while I was in my sister's home office in Denver, Colorado, they were at apparently the place that has the best French fries in the entire world, and I didn't get to go because I was serving. And I hear about it all the time, like, oh yeah, you didn't go to the Eddy because you were in city council. Yep, I was, but I have modeled that for my kids, for my daughters, that it's important to give back. So you're gonna miss some stuff. You're gonna miss a few hours on vacation. You're gonna miss literally every Monday night for the rest of your term. But you'll be here and you'll be doing that work. And I also add that you should put on your own oxygen mask first. So once in a while, step back and say, you know what? I did it once this fall. I realized there was a meeting, there was not a lot of crucial things on there, and my parents were gonna be leaving and my daughter was going to college, and I realized it was the last time we would have dinner together before Thanksgiving. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to the meeting tonight. And so I took that night off, put on my own oxygen mask, and had dinner with my entire family. Because the other thing I've learned, as I've been on this council, we lost a counselor while I have served. Several of the counselors that I served with have lost parents, have lost siblings, have lost loved ones, have had health crises. Put on your own oxygen mask first. I will always be devoted to this city. I'm wearing my special socks that say, damn, I love this town, because I got these 6 years ago, and I wear them when I need to because I do love Bangor. I have loved serving. It has been an honor to be to serve this council, even through a pandemic, through some hard times, through some fun times. I've been very happy to serve. So to also put that time into perspective, I've served for a third of my oldest daughter's life. She is who encouraged me to run. Back in 2018, she said, "Mom, you always have good ideas. So if you have a 13-year-old that tells you you have good ideas, you listen to her and you say, oh, okay, I guess I do." And you run. And almost half of my younger daughter's life. They are now both freshmen, one in college, one in high school. As they have grown, they have been losing their rights at the federal level. They have less rights now than their grandmother did. And I will never stop fighting for them, whether it's, and that starts locally and moves on at the state level, at the federal level. So I will never stop fighting for their rights, and I will never stop standing up to make sure that they know that you can use your voice and have it have an impact. And it might be something as simple as a skate park, but it can be other bigger, wilder things as well. And also thank you to my husband, who has, we call it chef's choice on the family menu on Monday nights. It's, are you eating at council? Yes, okay, so they probably had orange chicken tonight. So it's a fan favorite over there. So my husband, Dave, my kids, Ingrid and Willa, my parents, my dad was a first assessor in my hometown of Grand Lake Stream, so I have absolutely grown up in a culture of service to your community. I will continue to serve my community. I was on my phone earlier because a neighbor's daughter who lives out of state had some concerns about her parent who lives on my street, and I was texting earlier trying to figure out how to help them. I will always serve my community. And thank you to my friends, my fellow counselors, anyone who has supported me. It has been such an honor to serve Bangor, and I appreciate this city, I appreciate the staff, and make sure you go to early voting. And with that, good night.
Thank you, Councillor Schaefer. Councillor Yakbaga?
I can't compete with that. We'll be brief. I want to thank the Bangor residents who voted for me. This did not come just out of nothing. They did not vote for me because I'm, just someone who is different, and they want to, embrace diversity and inclusion, even though that probably was part of it. But it came after 10 to 12 years of volunteering at different organizations, learning about the issues and the problems that our community struggles with, being a social worker, so I have that background. So all of that helped me be where I am now. So I knocked every door you can think of. I listened to everyone. Maybe I did not make everyone happy, and I don't think I can ever make everyone happy, but I always did what I thought, and I still stand by it that I did the right thing. I stand by the values that were behind me running for this position. And am I happy with what we have done? I don't think we have achieved what at least I was thinking of doing, but again, as Councillor Schaefer said, I'm one of 9, and we all represent different constituents in this community, and that is the democratic process. I can imagine if all of us agree on something, I mean, we do sometimes, but most of the time we have those discussions, those conversations, and that's what it should be like. And again, each one of us represents constituents in this community. So I'm honored to be able to have served, those 3 years. I want to thank my fellow councillors for their dedication to this work and for the conversations we had. We disagreed many times and we agreed other times. In the end, it was all for what we feel the best interest of this community and this city. I want to extend my thanks to our amazing staff. You guys, you have been doing a fabulous job trying to address the problems in this community and be there, be present, and try to improve infrastructure and listen to people. And I thought this past year has been really special by your efforts to reach out to community members and hold those public forums, listen to the feedback from people in this community, and that's how, you know, action was decided based on listening to people in the community. So I thought you did an amazing job. Debbie always being there if we need help and support. Courtney as well. I always bothered her with those private texts in the morning. And I think I did not do a lot of what I thought I would, especially reaching out to community members after I was elected. When you have a full-time job, a family, and a lot of other things you're involved with, it becomes harder and harder to connect the way, like, at least I would like to have done. I wish I had more time to reach out to staff. I wish I had more time to reach out to people and meet with the constituents as I wanted to. So anyway, we come to the council, as one of the previous councillors said once, we come with our lives, with our individual issues and jobs, family. So we try to manage all of that, and it does not mean we are not super. I mean, we don't have. I wish I had the superpower to do what I wish to do. But anyway, what I can say is that I did everything from my heart, because this community gave me a lot, and I wanted to give back. Even though I always did work with nonprofits, but I felt I want to be on the other side of the process and be in this position to affect a change. I hope I did not make many people upset again, but I did my part. I think it was a blessing to be part of the council when we discussed ARPA funds. That was huge for me. We had a lot of meetings, a lot of discussions, agreements, disagreements, and I joked with my fellow councillors back then when I said, I get to see you guys more than I see my family, and I'm serious. Like, we spent many nights, and we were really invested in this because we know many people depend on this money, on these funds to do the work. And I think we did a fairly good job allocating funds to the organizations that desperately needed them. Again, I would not be able to see the fruits of this work. And I'm so sad about that, but it is, again, part of the process. Being on the council, it means you work on things, you work on items, you work on addressing problem-solving issues, but it takes time. Housing, we worked a lot on housing, and we worked a lot on childcare. But I know I won't be able to see the fruits of that work right now. It would be a few years. Housing, like the Department of Economic Development did an amazing job changing zones. I mean, I advise that people who are here in the room and who are watching us tonight to read the document that will be listed on our website about what we have done and is in progress, and what's planned to happen, because it shows what we have done in the past year, but again, it's work in progress, and probably some of those projects started 3 years ago. I also want to say that I'm so proud to be the first immigrant Muslim woman to serve on the council. Again, it's a passion of mine to do this work, but also it reflects a dedication from our beautiful community towards inclusion and diversity, and to include people of diverse backgrounds. Councillor Angela Kafour was on the council prior to me being on the council, and that was unprecedented. The first African American woman to be on the council, and now here you have a Muslim immigrant woman with an accent to sit on the council. And I know it will not stop here. I hope to see more diversity and inclusion on the council, because every voice needs to be represented and heard. And what else? What else I want to highlight here? I think that's it, but I wanna conclude with one maybe announcement. Some of those who are within my circle know that I'm leaving Bangor, and this breaks my heart. When I came to town, and maybe this is funny because I told my husband it's gonna be 3 years. We get the green card and we're out of here. I wanna be in a big city. I'm a big city girl. And as years passed, I started to be involved in the community. And at that time, he started to think about it. He's like, so how about we move? And I said, oh no, on my dead body, you can go and I'm staying behind. Yeah, I mean, feel free, I'm staying here. I love this community, I love this place, and I never thought I would leave it. But once your children leave, and we are a like tight, like, you know, close family, we felt lonely after they left, even though we're surrounded with an amazing family, and my bestie is here, Marwa. But still, it felt sad and lonely, even though I'm so busy with my job and the city council, but it just felt lonely. And when my husband said, do you want to spend another winter with just the two of us here while you have a big family in another state, that was the first time that I said, okay. It was impulsive, sort of, and it happened within a few weeks, and here we are, we're leaving Bangor, and I'm so heartbroken to leave, but I know the city will always get the love of those dedicated counselors and staff, and I'm gonna be following you guys from far to see what's happening here, so you can't get rid of me, and I'm coming back in May for Marwa's graduation. But continue to do great, and I would love to see this city flourish and get better and better. And we can't solve every problem, but we do our best. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you, Councillor Yakabaga. Councillor Haas, closing comments?
Well, I don't know that they left much to say. I think they covered it all. Actually, this has been a really good council. We had our ups and downs, but I think we've accomplished huge things this year. And I think I am most happy about seeing more citizens become involved and seeing the groups that come into the chambers to speak to us and really ask about getting on our committees. And that's heartening. You know, it proves that we're doing and laying the groundwork for other people to come along, and that's what we are supposed to be doing. But as Councilor Schaefer said, we do spend a lot of time together, more so with each other than with our families. But there's some long-lasting relationships over the years that I've done this, and you know, I would do it again in a minute. It's an honor and a pleasure to serve the city. And with that, I thank all of you, and good night.
Thank you, Councillor Haas. Councillor Fish, closing comments?
I think tonight's theirs. I want to thank the outgoing counselors for their service and their patience with me as a new person this year. I've learned something from each of you, and it's your night, and I just want to say thank you and good night.
Thank you. Councillor Trumbull?
Thanks. I would again congratulate Jeff on being the new city engineer. It's very exciting. And then as the councilors that are leaving, Councilor Haas is still there, but I don't have to say much about Councilor Haas because she's just finishing her term. She's not leaving the council, so I'm not going to say much about you, Sue. But Councilor Yakabaga, I think what you said was just perfect. And everybody brings their own perspective, their own experiences to the council. And I think we were better off because of your 3 years on the council. So thank you. And this community, you know, is better off too. So we're going to be missed in the community, and I'm going to miss you. You take care of my neighbors across the street, and you have been very helpful for them since they've been there. So they're going to miss you a lot. I know that. And Counselor Schaefer, I know you were big on data, and so we have to have a new data guru once you're done. I'm not sure who that's going to be, but, I just want to also thank you, Counselor Pelletier, for your year as chair. I think you've done a great job this year. There's always different things that come up when you chair the council, but I think you've been very even-handed with everybody on the council. It's been a good process this year, so thank you for, especially going through you had a lot to do going through the ARPA funding, so thanks for your leadership this year. I think that's all I've got. Good night.
Thank you. Counselor Leonard?
I'll be very quick. Counselor Schaefer, thank you for your service. Counselor Hawes, see you on the 13th. And I think it's pretty obvious, Counselor Yakabaga and I formed a friendship beyond just our professional relationship as well. And it's funny, when we first actually got to know each other, we were actually running against each other in a city council race. And it's a bit of a friendly rivalry. And by the time we started to get to know each other more, we started to see just how much we had in common with our values, our perspectives on municipal functions. And but I think that the thing that really impressed me the most about you, Councilor Yakabaga, was not many people are able to do this, but you actually got me to change my mind once. And that was for the one of the first big decisions we had to make, which was the smoking ban ordinance. And you and Councilor Sprague were really insurmountable people of information that I took that in with a lot of not only respect, but initially, I did my own research comparing those numbers, and this is why it's so important to have someone who is so politically aligned with you, but to also challenge you in regards to that. And throughout my entire friendship with you, you've never hesitated to engage with that rhetoric, and you've always been so honest with our conversations. You're just such a genuine person, and that's why it's a real tragedy that you're leaving. And I know you've probably pissed off a lot of people doing that, but I very much respect your dedication to the city, and I didn't expect to I didn't expect to grow such a fond friendship with you, but I mean, I'm just really sad to see you go, and I'll just leave it at that. And thank you so much for your friendship, your time serving this city, and thank you so much for your friendship and bringing me into to your world.
Thank you. Councilor Fournier?
As usual, I'll be brief. Thank you both for your service, and I really do appreciate your points of view. You've both enlightened me on numerous other occasions on how to view things a little bit differently than my world. That's been very helpful. Councilor Schaefer, I must be a slow reader because I figured it out. It's not $4 an hour, it's $1 an hour. Takes me a lot longer to get through that stuff. And I did want to, Councilor Chair Pelletier, I think you've done an excellent job this year. Thank you for everything that you've done this year. Appreciate it. I really liked the cookies the other day too. That's it.
Benefit of living on the same block.
That's right.
Councilor Dean?
Well, I can't just say goodnight. Obviously, we have some wonderful people that are leaving us. I want to thank Councilor Schaefer for sitting next to me and mentoring me. You've been a very large influence on me this year. From the very first meeting, you kind of took me under your wing, showed me the ropes, and I greatly appreciate it. If I can be half the counselor that you are, I will be doing a great job. And Councilor Yakabaga, I am sad to see you go. After developing a friendship, I wish we had more time together to develop that friendship. Wish you the best. You've done an outstanding job. and Councilor Pelletier. As a chair, you have been nothing but professional. I'm very impressed with everything you've done. You've made me feel very welcome, and I have enjoyed very much being on this council. So thank you to everyone. I look forward to a new council. I'm sure we'll work together just as well, but this was a wonderful year for me, and I thank you all very much. And good night, Bangor.
Thank you. I do have a few remarks. I hope you'll indulge me in some closing reflections. I'm going to take my 3 minutes, but don't turn that timer on. I am ending my year as chair with as much and hope and optimism about Bangor's future as I had when I started a year ago doing this. I remain absolutely convinced that our best years as a city are ahead of us and not something that we have to look to history to try to figure out where they went. We know as a city the work is never done, even though we tried to wrap things up to have a smooth transition from one council to another. There's 100,000 things to get to in Debbie's pile, which I keep telling her she has to learn to make peace with the fact that it will always exist. But I do want to take a couple minutes to reflect and appreciate the incredible work that has been done by our city staff in the last year with the support of the council. If you are watching this and you have not read the council year in review that we've discussed at our workshop tonight, please go back and take a look at it because I'm just going to hit the highlights. But this is just a small portion of what your tax dollars and lots of grant money made possible in 2024. Our 2024, the council declared our year of housing. And just in the last year, our vacant and placarded properties are down 20%. Our rental registry is up and running. We've made ordinance changes to allow for housing in new areas and for new types of housing. We have pre-approved housing plans to streamline the development process. And the Grandview project that we talked about tonight will bring up to 75 units of affordable housing for people who are in that area median income of 80 to 120%. And that's just a handful of the standout accomplishments for the year, not the laundry list. It's my hope that we're going to keep the momentum on housing going as we roll into the next year, because we know that housing is a foundation upon which a healthy economy and a workforce in Bangor grows. We should also be really proud of the numerous ways that we have worked to improve the quality of life for our residents and visitors, particularly downtown, with the Park Ranger program, the BCAT program, the return of the downtown police officer, the funding of Street Plus, the installation of public restrooms and council support of public art. If you missed the last meeting where we got an update from the DBP, the Downtown Bangor Partnership reported that they only found one syringe during their latest fall cleanup effort, which is a huge difference from where we were a year ago. And we should also be proud of the city staff for the tremendous accomplishments made this year in so many other areas. We treated more than 3 billion gallons of wastewater this year. Not sexy, but super important. Repaired over 94,000 feet of streets and sidewalks. Inventoried 2,500 trees. We welcomed 750,000 travelers to the Bangor International Airport. Let people play more than 37,000 rounds of golf with all the broken tees and lost balls that come with that. We entertained nearly 200,000 people each at the Cross Insurance Center and at waterfront concerts, and we provided over 500,000 public transit rides. Our first responders answered the call for help more than 51,000 times. Our public health nurses visited people in their homes more than 1,000 times this year, and we sheltered 250 unhoused residents and provided support to divert 1,200 people from homelessness. And we registered vehicles and dogs and issued marriage licenses and ran 3 seamless, free, fair, and transparent elections, all while moving from one city hall to another without a beat missed. This is remarkable. So please, the next time you see a city employee, say thank you, because they deserve it. Personally, I want to thank the council for the opportunity to lead this year. I didn't know, but I've been told it's a bit of an anomaly for a second-year counselor to be considered for chair. So thanks for trusting me, and thank you for your support and your kindness as I've grown into this role and figured it out as I go. It's a hard thing to learn a new job in public, so thanks for helping me with that. And thank you for your hard work and commitment to our community. I'm particularly grateful for the opportunity to represent all of you and the city at events this year, from the State Chamber of Commerce Convention to the Authors Fair at the Bangor Public Library, to getting to welcome the VFW Convention to Bangor, which was like the highlight of my year, to speaking on the stage at Pride and representing us at Recovery Palooza. I have met incredible people I never would have had the opportunity to meet doing this job. And I've learned so much about our city and our state, and I'm really excited to bring that forward with me into the next year. Personally, being chair I tell people it's not a big deal, but it's also a big deal. If you've sat in the seat, you kind of understand it. It's really banging the gavel and putting together the agendas. But my understanding is I'm only the second queer person to ever hold this seat. And to my knowledge, I'm the first autistic mayor in the state of Maine, and perhaps only the second in the entire nation. Disability representation matters. Gender representation matters. LGBTQ representation matters. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to share this platform. And as always, I am grateful for the boisterous and heated engagement of our neighbors, our residents, and our visitors in this very imperfect thing we call democracy. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for speaking up. Thank you for sometimes raising your voices, and for holding us to account as we do the work that you've entrusted us to do. With that, you're adjourned. Good night.